Time Sync is the weekly podcast to let you know what's worth sinking your time into. Head to timesyncpod.com for more information like our rating scale, show notes, social media, videos, and more. Welcome to Time Sync, the weekly podcast where we ask if it's worth your time. From TV, movies, video games, and more. We rate content not on its quality, but if it's worth sinking your limited free time into on a scale of 1 to 5. 5 put it at the top of your list, 1 it's not worth your time. I'm your host and pop culture super junkie Sauce, and joining us back from the grave is Bradley.
What up, friendo? It's good to see you, man. It's been a while. I haven't even seen that mushug enough face of yours. Yes, you're so beautiful. I'm happy to see you.
It's good to have you back.
Are you voguing? Is that a Vogue?
Yeah,
thing?
I'm framing my face.
It's a
just for
one-handed
you.
Vogue. Thank you. I have. You know how poor my vision is. I'm glad you pointed out where your face is.
Right here, baby. We got a great episode for you guys this week. This week, we're going to talk about Venom 2. Some of the hot stuff you can look forward to on Game Pass. Squid Game, Midnight Mass, and Dropout. So stick around. We got a great episode for you.
Bap.
I talked about this with Tito, I think, because you were off trying to come back to life. And, I was talking about if I was excited for Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage. And I had to go see it in theater. I went by myself because you couldn't go. And I rarely go to the movie theater by myself, but it's a Marvel adjacent property. So I had to go see it. And of course it was exactly what I thought it was going to be, a giant, massive letdown that was not worth me going to the movie theater by myself. Let me tell you what's good about the movie, and then I'll tell you what's bad about the movie. What's good about the movie...
Which category has more elements to it? The pro or the con list?
The con list. So the good thing about the movie was Carnage looked awesome, right? The CGI on him was pretty great. Seeing him on screen finally was really great. Not only did he look good, but he moved like how you would imagine and just seemed very menacing and chaotic. But then I feel like we didn't even quite get there with Venom in the first movie. Like he looks pretty good, way better than Spider-Man 3 Venom, but still not seeing that giant white spider on his chest is just still really rubs me the wrong way. Because there's for some reason doing Spider-Man villain movies with no Spider-Man, which makes zero sense. That was it. That was the pros. The cons is everything else. The movie's trying to be a comedy. Eddie Brock's trying to be too likable of a character, whereas he's an anti-hero, so he's supposed to be a bad guy and kill people, but like a likable anti-hero. Woody Harrelson's Cletus Cassidy is very bad. His motivations are very dumb. They, instead of making him a psychotic serial killer, they try to give him a tragic backstory to really it's a love story for him, and it does not connect. The other characters they introduce in the movie to set up for a third movie are not interesting or great. The story is very boring. They basically, Venom and Carnage only fight at the very end of the movie, and he pieces Carnage pretty quickly, and that was it. That's all we got of Carnage. And the tone of the movie just was all over the place because it was trying to be too much of a comedy, and it was really held back by the fact that it was PG-13. Seeing Carnage do stuff was cool, but he couldn't make giant knife arms and cut people in half or do gruesome stuff because it was PG-13. At one point, minor spoiler, Carnage is breaking out of prison and starts spinning in a circle and creates a tornado in the prison, and people are getting sucked into it, and it's completely ridiculous and stupid. You're watching it what the hell is this? So yeah, I did not enjoy it. I know a lot of people are liking it. If you like the first movie, you'll like the second movie. I don't know if it's making so much money because people want it to be good and they're going to see it, so they're paying to see it, but it's it's just proof that nobody can make good Marvel movies right now except for Marvel Studios. And if you don't want this spoiled for you, go ahead and skip to the next section because I'm going to do a little spoiler here. So I lied. There's 2 pros. The only other good thing is the after credits spoiler because it does tie in. It basically brings Venom into the MCU as the spoiler. And so that is great because I want to see what Marvel's going to do with Venom. It's still Eddie Brock as Venom. It's still this weird, like, jokey version of Venom, but I'm sure they're gonna make it sweet. And because of the character they established in the movie, that he's like Eddie Brock's constantly trying to keep Venom from killing people, right? Eddie Brock's a good guy. He doesn't want to be a killer. He doesn't want to be a bad guy. So it'd be weird to have him in the new Spider-Man movie because he wouldn't be trying to. I don't know, unless they give him some crazy reason to try to kill Peter Parker. Like, it more seems like he would be teaming up with him, which is interesting because that's not what you want to see. You want to see him teaming up with the other 2 Spider-Men, you know?
Right.
So yeah, it's just like the first one. You don't need to see the first one. You don't need to see the second one. You can just know that Venom's coming to the MCU and be good. But I'm going to give it there's some good jokes. No, I wouldn't say good, but there's some laughs. It's entertaining to watch visually. So I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5.
Now, when I talk about these Venom movies, I think the first movie was bad. Just bad.
Yeah.
Like, I know there's a lot of people who liked it, but, like, I think poorly of them for liking it. I don't think it was good. I like Tom Hardy a lot, and I thought bringing in Andy Serkis was a great choice because he's very talented as well.
As a motion capture actor.
And director, I mean, he made the last couple Planet of the Apes movies really good.
He didn't direct them.
Didn't he direct the last 2?
I don't think so, but I could be wrong. I'll look. Let me fact check.
It doesn't really matter that much. But, I mean, there were names involved that you liked, but I thought the first movie was bad. I have very little desire to see the second movie all that much. If they're going to tie it to the MCU, like, I agree, like, I would rather see Venom be a villain before he becomes somebody who is kind of an anti-hero, which they've done before with Venom, you know, just fighting on the side of good for his own reasons, you know. So I care very little about these movies because I thought the first one was bad, just outright. It's right up there with the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie.
Ooh, see, so the first movie, like, as a casual moviegoer who doesn't care about all like Spider-Man and Marvel and everything, and anybody I talked to like that did enjoy the first movie, right? And so I can see, like, not seeing it through that lens, that it's not a terrible. So I'm disagreeing with you. I don't think it's a terrible movie, but I think in the grand scheme of Marvel, it's a terrible movie. But it's not fantastic. The new Fantastic Four, that is just a hot pile of garbage, right? I rewatched Venom before I went and saw the second one, and you know, it's, even though it makes no sense because there's no Spider-Man, it's still like okay. That one's also a 2 out of 5 to me. Like you're good either way. It's not a 1 where it's a definitely, absolutely don't watch this. Whereas I would say the new Fantastic Four is a absolutely don't watch it.
They just haven't made the characters intriguing. Their arcs have been boring. The stories have been boring and non-existent. The action has been okay. But, I mean, I just don't think there's a lot of good things to say about these films. And that's without having seen the second one yet. So, I think giving it a 2 or a 1 is a very valid choice. When it pops up on a streaming service you own already, that's when you go ahead and give this a watch, in my opinion.
Yeah, if that. You're good either way. That's 2. You're good either way. Which is interesting. Marvel's justifying their universe because they've established that, like, the new Spider-Man villain movies that they're making, like the Morbius movie and whatever else they're doing, exist in their own side universe. But now they're also bringing it into theirs. So, like, it gave them an excuse to keep making more garbage movies. Although the Morbius movie does look interesting.
The multiverse be crazy, bro. Just absolutely crazy.
They actually establish in it that the Venom, the symbiotes share a hive mind that's all their collective knowledge spans across not only the universe, but the multiverse as well, which I thought was crazy.
That would make them, like, fucked up level powerful if that's the case.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's a bold choice. It's a bold choice.
Yeah. Yeah. Sony needs to sell the rights to Spider-Man. But they can keep making the games, though. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, the next installment of the game also looks dope.
For sure. Ooh, that reminds me. I finally was able to get a PS5. I don't have it in hands yet, but as soon as it gets here, I'm excited to play Deathloop because it's getting amazing reviews. I wasn't planning on getting a PS5 because none of the really good games are going to be coming out until like next year, end of next year, and then into 2023. But this game's getting such good reviews that I'm like, all right, I need to get it now so I can play it.
Man, plus that KOTOR remake being PlayStation exclusive is heartbreaking.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, it obviously showed that BioWare has been putting out duds and, the Star Wars franchise didn't trust them to redo it.
Yeah.
It's a sad day.
They used to be the king of old Broadway.
Still one of my favorite game developers because they have some of my favorite series, but man, their last couple installments have not been good. Hopefully the future ones will be.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Man, if Dragon Age 4 is bad, I will be so disappointed.
It's all right. We got a lot of great stuff coming out to look forward to.
Yeah, I actually even thought about bringing that up because recently Game Pass added some pretty awesome looking games. I haven't really been able to get into them yet, but I have them downloaded and ready to go. I just figured I'd hit them real quick because I thought they were things that are definitely worth playing if you have some time.
Hit me with it.
The first one was the brand new Subnautica game. I have not really played Subnautica all that much, but I know how highly people who play it rate it, and the game looks gorgeous. And it's always going to be the top of your exploration sort of games. If you're into that style of gaming, you got to play the Subnautica series. And the new one looks to be just as good as anything they've ever put out. They did add the Avengers game to Game Pass. So if you haven't played it yet, even though we've talked about it being not that great, the story mode, the single player game mode, the story was really good. Even the DLC stories have been fun to play through, but just burn through them and then move on. That's all the game is worth. 2 Japanese studio games came out, 3 actually that I have written down. First one, a hand-drawn turn-based RPG called Astria Ascending. If you played those games back in the day, this one looks to be a top-tier quality RPG, back to turn-based combat, and the hand-drawn side of it looks gorgeous. I'm really excited to get my hands on that at some point. Scarlet Nexus, one that dropped from Bandai Studios, big Japanese name, featuring 2 interwoven stories that once you finish, unlock another story. The early reviews are really good. I'm definitely excited to check that out. Another Japanese studio detective game called AI, The Somnium Files. If you're into puzzle detective games, the reviews on this game are very high. I downloaded it. I'm excited to try it out at some point. And then I wrote down one for you specifically, Sauce.
Ooh.
Because I know how much you loved Hades and are into that roguelike style game that's been doing really well lately.
Yeah.
They dropped one on Game Pass called Dandy Ace, where you play as a magician.
What?
I know how much you like magic, bro. You're trapped in the mirror dimension, and you're some sort of magician with cards and card tricks and stuff. I thought that was 2 of your interests, so I wanted to make sure I mentioned it to you. Definitely probably not a game I will play, but maybe something you'll check out and tell us all about.
Why does he have to be called a Dandy Ace?
That's his name, and what a fucking dope name for a magician.
I don't know. I don't know about that one.
I think it's great, and it looks like a traditional roguelike. Lots of every playthrough of a map is different.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy storyline, characters. I didn't really get into reading the reviews, but I just saw it, laughed, and thought those are things that Sauce likes, and I wanted to make sure I told him to check it out.
For sure. That's on Game Pass?
Those are all on Game Pass, bro. Game Pass is blowing up. It's going to be a great year to be a part of Game Pass. It's going to be a great year to be part of Game Pass.
Can I add to your list real quick?
Please, hit it.
Lemnis Gate I also saw on Game Pass. It looks super interesting.
That one off. An FPS where you play in like 26-second intervals or something like that.
It's
in a
turn
time loop?
based. It's a turn based shooter.
Yeah, you have like 26 seconds to like set up every round. It looks weird, man.
Yeah, I haven't checked it out yet, but it might be something that somebody out there wants to put on their radar.
For sure.
And the other thing was, because of Game Pass, I got to do the Halo Infinite beta.
Nice.
Just keep an eye out for that, because I know they're going to be doing more betas. So
But there's
if
a
you
Battlefield one coming up.
Battlefield's this weekend, but I believe, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure you have to have the game pre-ordered in order to be part of that beta.
Interesting. I literally just saw it was available for pre-download on Game Pass. So
I'm seriously consider buying it to play the beta, because the gameplays, the trailers look so insane and so fun.
I don't even like shooters all that much, and like open one worlds like that have been popular lately. But it literally looks insane.
Yeah, like I'm excited for that one.
Yeah.
I did get to play the Halo beta though. I had a lot of fun. Let me just give you some quick hot takes on it. It felt like Halo 3. They got rid of a lot of mechanics in Halo 5, like dashing and your jetpack and your stomp. A lot of the new guns are really fun. The gameplay felt good. I actually didn't like it at first. I'm like, this is kind of slow for me. I'm not feeling it. But the more I played, the more I got into it and fell into that like old school Halo rhythm that I used to love. And it felt really, really good. It made me excited for the multiplayer coming out. It's very competitive, but I was playing a lot of big team battles, so it was very fun. I know you just were saying that's usually not your thing. I think that's still going to be the case. But for me, I had a blast with the beta. I'm excited because I know it's just a little taste. Even the campaign, even if I don't ever play the beta, I'm super pumped for the. I mean, if I don't play multiplayer, I'm pumped for the campaign. It was a lot of fun.
I always, it's weird, but my favorite Halo game, the one that I had the most fun playing, was ODST. I really enjoyed the campaign, and I loved playing PvE with everybody, and I thought that like PvE is my jam. With especially FPS, I love FPS PvE games. So Overwatch 2 is going to add a lot of that. I'm excited for that. I had so much fun playing ODST. It was easily one of my favorite games to play. I know it's weird.
The fire team was cool. It was like horde mode, like waves of guys coming at you. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I wasn't expecting that answer, but I'll allow it.
I know it's like I said, it's definitely a weird choice, but it was one of the ones that I had the most fun playing through, and the campaign felt timed perfect. It wasn't that long. It wasn't too short. There was hidden stuff to find a little bit, and I kind of felt cool not playing as Master Chief and being a little downgraded at that ODST level. Enemies were bigger. It felt more intimidating. There was a lot to like about ODST.
And the Master Chief Collection, which it's in, is on Game Pass.
Gotta love that Game Pass.
Well, Brad, before you tell me what you wanted to talk about, which you still haven't told me yet, but that's okay, is Squid Game. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this right now because most people have probably watched it because it's so hype right now. But that is part of our scoring system, is being able to talk about it with people. Have you watched Squid Game?
I have watched it. It's the number one watched thing in something like 90 countries right now. Pure insanity how popular this thing is. And it deserves every bit of it because it's incredible.
It's so good.
It's everything Hunger Games wasn't.
I don't even like comparing it to Hunger Games. The way I explained it to people who haven't seen it is that it was like Fall Guys, but real life. So the premise is it's a Korean drama. So all these people in Korea are playing these different kids games, but if they lose, they die for real. And it's the story about these people, how they got involved into playing these games, or like why they are playing them, the reason that they're playing them, the people that are organizing the games. There's like a B plot trying to like flesh out like how these games came to be and who's behind them. But the story is so good. The characters are so good. And you know that the acting and the character development is strong because it's in a different language. Now you can watch it in English with like English dubbed over the original Korean, but I do not recommend watching that way. I recommend watching watching it with the subtitles on, because even though you don't understand what they're saying, if you don't speak Korean, you can still hear the tone and inflection in their voice, and you get that like emotional resonance that the actors are giving behind their words and acting. Even though you can't understand it, you can still read it. There is a lot of talk online right now that the subtitles, there is a lot of subtext and Korean themes that don't come through because of the loss in translation. So I recommend watching it and then just reading an article about it, because that's what I did. And then I could pick up on like why characters said things or acted a certain way that I didn't get because I'm not from the Korean culture or part of it. But definitely watch it in Korean with subtitles on, unless you're watching it as a background show and you're just listening to it mostly. But this is not one of those shows that I recommend. Like, you need to like put your phone down, put it on the big screen, and just dive in. The character development is so good. The main character is like, at first you don't like him, and then you're like immediately like in love with him, because like they do a really good job doing a 180 on his character and making him likable. The B story is really interesting and engaging as much as the A story is. There's a lot of moments in the show where you think they're going to take the cliche route and have somebody do something, or like, of course, this is what's going to happen, but they don't do that. Without spoilers, that's as best as I can describe it. It's very engaging. It's 9-hour-long episodes on Netflix. It's a Netflix original. I guess the writer of the show had this turned down for like 10 years trying to get it developed until Netflix finally picked it up. And yeah, watch Squid Game right now. I would put that at the top of your list. Because it's so hype right now, you can get in and talk about it with everybody else watching it right now. So I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5.
Yeah, it's a definite 5. I just wonder, because over the 10 years he was developing this, something like 20 studios turned it down. There's at least 20 people who have been fired for turning this down. Like,
right.
Has to be, because it's a phenomenon. It's so good. And as far as like the Korean subtext thing, I totally get that. I mean, as somebody who watches anime and things like that, it's a culture thing. You're not going to be able to pick up on a lot of that unless you're immersed into that culture. So I didn't think there was like a whole lot that I felt like I missed because of what was, read in the subtitles, but definitely, obviously, some. That's going to be anything you watch that's foreign. I didn't read any articles talking about some of that stuff. Maybe that's a really good idea, though. I'm glad you suggested that.
Yeah, definitely do it. Yeah, you don't need to, but it's going to really flesh out more of the themes in it, and then make it better. It makes it better because you're appreciating it more.
Especially because you already said it. This is a show that takes about at least 97% of your attention. You blink and you miss something important. I think because of that, it's not even a great show to binge. It's like watch an episode, walk away, and think about it for a little bit. A lot of these shows that have been like that are really about paying attention to what's going on. Some of the ones that we've seen on with Star Wars and stuff and Marvel that are a little bit more about paying attention rather than casual viewing, I think have been great to not be binge content. To really, really just kind of watch it, step away from it, and get through it all. I think this show's a perfect example of that. But it's absolutely incredible, and you got to get in on it because everybody's talking about it. And there's TikTok trends going on about it. There's all sorts of nonsense. It's definitely fun to be a part of the culture now while it's hot, while it's dropping hot.
But there's a reason why it's hot, because it's so good.
The other thing of it being like something that everybody could be like, yeah, I could see that happening, is also so fucked up. That's the world we live in. Everyone's like, yeah, I think people would do that. You're like, what? You would do that? Yeah, I'd play red light, green light to erase all of my fucking debt. Fuck, man. It's fucking nuts. Especially millennials. We're ready to die.
It's not where I thought you were going with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Like, yeah, I could totally like imagine it happening, but like I never thought about putting myself in that situation.
If they were like, hey, you know that $400,000 house you still need to pay off? Play one game of Chutes and Ladders to the death. You think you're good?
No.
No, I'm not. But there's some fuckers out there that'd do it. There's some crazy fucking people out there. There are people that bought at me at a gas station, man. They do it. Fuck, dude. Crazy.
Yeah. America's great.
There was one other thing on Netflix that I think is a definitely check out. I don't want to talk about it too much because I'm not finished with it, and I think literally saying anything about other than what it is and what it's sort of about ruins it. And that's Midnight Mass, which is a Netflix original. It's making vampires scary again is the only thing I'm gonna fucking say about it. It is incredible. I'll give it a 4 because I think it's definitely. Because it's going to be around, available on the streaming service for a long time, so you can watch it when you need to. But man, it's really good, and real nice fucked up shit.
Yeah. My wife's been trying to get me to watch it, so
Does she like scary vampires? I thought she was into the shiny ones.
She likes all vampires.
She's not after this.
I didn't know.
She's not after this. She's not gonna like them after this, man. It's messed.
All right, I'm in.
For sure.
So what's Dropout?
Yeah, man. So one of the things about being sick for 3 weeks and being quarantined is, well, I mean, there was probably about 10 days where I thought I was gonna die, so I didn't get into a lot of content. But I really needed to find casual content to watch. So there is a service that I got into that I'm really excited to talk about, because it brings me back to the old internet days when we were growing up, man. Let me ask you this first. How much do you remember about College Humor?
Enough?
Its existence?
Yeah. I mean, I spent a lot of time there back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, they produced a lot of fun content when we were, in our late teens and things like that. A lot of good sketch videos, early YouTube, things like that. I remember it, and I could be very wrong, but it kind of disappeared because when Saturday Night Live was really struggling around those times, they basically purged the whole College Humor team and put them on their writing staff. And that's why I thought College Humor almost disappeared. But lately, they've made a little bit of a comeback, and a lot of that has to do with them being fired from their parent company right at the beginning of the pandemic, and them deciding to invest in themselves and all of their content and create their own streaming service called Dropout. It's available for $5 a month. There is a small free trial available right now. You can check it out. But there's so much more geek and nerd content these days than I ever remember back from when we were young, which is why I definitely wanted to make sure I talked with you about. So there were 3 programs that I got deep dive in on YouTube, actually, that made me decide to sign up for the service and explore it a little bit more. I will say that as an app and as a streaming service, it runs really well. It's really clean. And there's a pretty fair amount of content on there. It's obviously all their own content. So the hitch will be if you reach the end of their content and have nothing else to watch, you're no longer going to be interested in their service. So hopefully they, as a small company, keep up with producing more and more content. But they do have some heavy hitters I think are worth checking out. The first one that got me really into it was a segment they do called Breaking News. So they do this news style, basically improv show where somebody writes up a news script and then 4 people have to read a teleprompter without knowing what's on it. And they aren't allowed to laugh or smile. They lose points, basically. So it's basically an improv game that is all about getting people to break. And it is absolutely hilarious to watch. I tried watching it, falling asleep once. I ended up staying up for like 4 hours watching because I was laughing so hard and watching people break. And the fact that they're on the internet and not limited to saying what they can only say on TV means that things can get ridiculous. There was one that they must have gone and did some heavy research from one of the writer's old friends and just told fucked up stories about him growing up. And it was so awkward and so funny. It was absolutely incredible. It's definitely something you want to watch if you're in for some laughs and to watch quick hitter programs. The other one, which I've actually seen pop around on places like Reddit lately, is a game show format called Game Changers. You might have seen it because I know you're on Reddit. There are some clips and stuff have been on the internet, but they do this improv game show format where they get 3 of their writers or internet personalities to do a game show, but they don't tell them how the game show works. They just start. So they have to figure it out as they go.
Oh, so Squid Game.
Yeah, it's very funny. Provides some really good improv content from some very funny people. Definitely worth checking out. There are some videos on YouTube, but there's a heck of a lot more on their streaming service, which is basically what they're doing. You can watch their stuff on YouTube to try to get into it, and if you think it's worth it, $5 a month to sign up for their streaming service, which is the future of pretty much any content creator creating their own streaming service, probably moving away from platforms like Twitch and Patreon to give full creative control of their product. So definitely the future of this medium generally. But the one I wanted to make sure I talked to you about, Sauce. Now I want you to give me a chub percentage, 0 to 100, as I go through this. What if I told you there was a game show?
98.
All right, let's bring you back down a little bit. Margaret Thatcher naked on a cold day. Does that bring you back
88.
down a little bit? 88? All right. So a game show about nerd geek culture, where does that put you at?
Oh, for sure in the 80s.
For sure. So as somebody who is a fan of nerd and geek culture, you enjoy talking about nerd and geek culture with other people who enjoy it and are knowledgeable about it, correct?
The fuck you think we're doing right now?
Now, when you're in that conversation about something you love and something someone else loves, how much do you love when they say something you know is wrong and you get to correct them?
There's a meme about that. You know that meme of that I'm talking about with Ben Wyatt? He's like, I don't have the time to tell you how wrong you are right now. And then like some time goes by. And
does
it's like,
it anyway?
actually,
it's gonna bother me if I don't.
Yeah.
So now we've established how much you like correcting your other fellow nerds and geeks when speaking about things you both love. Now, what if I told you the game show I mentioned previously, which is called Actually?
Oh God.
Is a game show where they read facts about your favorite things with one small mistake in the question, and your job as the contestant is to say, actually, and then correct the statement Jeopardy style. Where's the percentage at now?
I'm all in.
All in. Well, this is a program that's on Dropout, on College Humor that they do, and it is incredible to watch. It is so much fun. All of your nerd sci-fi fantasy needs are catered to in this format. And on top of that, I have a list of other sci-fi fantasy tabletop things that I need to check out because there's so much stuff that I don't know anything about. And I even enjoyed hearing people not know what was right and kind of just making guesses at it. And of course, I'm someone who, if someone says something incorrect, I go, well, actually, this is the correct thing. There's a little part of me that will always just get a little extra feel good about doing that. And discovering this game show and watching tons of episodes about it was so satisfying. Sauce, I think you're going to love it. I definitely think you're going to get into a nice YouTube hole about it. And maybe even be persuaded to sign up or drop out at some point.
You always bring me gold, Bradley. So
on top of that, they're putting out really great sketch comedy because they have a group of very talented, funny, and diverse writers. So most of the film sketches I think they're doing stuff on the level of Saturday Night Live, if not better. They don't do live sketches all that much, so they obviously aren't competing in that format. All of their live camera stuff is this, unscripted format, game shows and stuff like that. They're very entertaining. You also get more access to Dimension 20, which is one of the most popular tabletop podcasts, video services out there right now. Definitely, you get full access to everything they do, one-shots, all sorts of things. There are plenty of stand-up comedy specials that they've recorded and put on their website. There is a lot of content to get on Dropout. And at $5 a month, I think this is a really affordable service. If you're bored with some of your other ones, it's a good one to just get into. And it's so casual content. It's a lot of stuff to laugh at. I definitely think there's value in it. I'm only gonna rate it a 3 for right now. But I think if you watch the stuff on YouTube and it hits with you, it's gonna jump to a 4 or a 5 as something you want to put in your wheelhouse. Because a lot of it's great background stuff. Most of it's really funny, and if it's your culture and that nerd geek, high fantasy, sci-fi stuff, all of it's for you. Almost all of it. You're gonna love getting into these videos for sure.
That's awesome. That's amazing. How did you find that?
So I literally started watching some of the stuff on YouTube. I remember College Humor from when I was younger. You had lots of like prank stuff with, I think their names were Jake and Amir. And they did lots of sketch comedy in the early YouTube days, pre-Funny or Die. And it just popped up on my feed. The first one I saw was that breaking news bit. Then I watched some Game Changers. Then I watched and I think at this point I've watched every single one they have on YouTube. Because I've also rewatched a ton of them, because now I'm actually writing down different like fantasy novel series and stuff that I want to check out. I have a nice list of books. I haven't had a list of books that I've wanted to read in a long time. So, I mean, like I said, even though I was heavily sick and didn't get into too much content in the early part of my quarantine, in the end of it, I was, searching for stuff. I once I got through my anxiety just watching the same things over and over again, I was out here looking for new stuff. Mostly stuff that was really casual and I didn't have to like fully invest my being into, because there was no way I could being sick. And so this was perfect for that. And you know me and how much I love comedy and laughing, and I'm sitting here alone cracking up, which is when you know something is funny. If you laugh by yourself, that is one of the funniest things you've come across, which is why I definitely wanted to make sure, coming back, I mentioned this program. I definitely think it's something everybody should check out. Go to YouTube, watch College Humor's videos. If you're into it, take your trial for Dropout, explore it hard for a day or two, and then maybe continue it, because I think it's so worth supporting a small group platform like this that is putting out good content, that's stuff you enjoy watching, and at any time could go viral and blow up, and who knows what's going to happen. I mean, eventually it's all going to be cyclical and packaged like cable was, and it's right now is the time to get in it at $5 a month. That's very cheap.
I know we're trying to shorten it, and we're running out of time here, but you mentioned Saturday Night Live. Did you watch this latest season episode?
I watched a couple of like clips on like YouTube and stuff, but I didn't watch the full episode.
It was good. Owen, I don't know if it's because it was Owen Wilson and he's like, a good actor, but
was this first time hosting, wasn't it?
I feel like it was. I don't know for sure.
I'm pretty sure that's what I heard. It was his first time.
He crushed it. It was a really good episode, and he was really strong in it, so it made me hopeful for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I like I said, I didn't watch the full episode, just a couple of things. What I saw was good, if just okay at times. I did see one of the acts from the musical performer, and I didn't know her very well. I hope they keep doing that and not putting these A-listers and just kind of... I love discovering music on formats like that, so I'd rather listen to someone I haven't really heard of and somebody that might be worth checking out than listen to Kanye or...
I'm pretty sure it's Casey Musgraves, was it?
Yeah.
Something Musgraves. She's been around for a while because I've heard that name before.
Yeah, but it's not like... It wasn't somebody that I was overly familiar with, so...
I hear you.
I hope they keep finding that nice medium.
But that's all we got time for you guys this week. Thanks for sticking around. Make sure to leave a comment or review in the app that you're listening to, and head to timesyncpod.com for more information. And we'll see you guys next week.
Happy to be back. Maybe we'll do this more often. Now that I'm not
Maybe.
Dead. Now that I'm not dead.